So I don't know if you guys have seen yet, but apparently Nibiru is coming to Duel Links. This card might have a huge impact on the competitive scene, and even better, it's locked behind a paywall. Nibiru the Primal Being is a level 11 light rock with 3k attack and 600 defense, and he has an effect in the hand during the main phase only that if your opponent has normal or special summoned at least 5 monsters during the turn, you can activate his effect to tribute as many face-up monsters on the field as possible, and if you do, you special summon himself to your field and also special summon a Primal Being token that is also a level 11 light rock to the opponent's field, and its attack and defense become equal to the total attack and defense of all of the tributed monsters. This means that if your deck's combo involves you summoning at least 5 times, you're at risk of having your board broken before your opponent's turn gets to start. Let's break it down though. Nibiru will tribute all monsters on the field. That includes both the opponent's monsters and the monsters of the guy activating the card. This is fine if whoever's using it is going second because they don't have any monsters on their own field. If they went first though, them using it would be at the risk of their own monsters on the board. If the deck they're playing doesn't care about their own monsters being removed, then that's fine. But if they set up a board of protection and interruption, then this is going to take that all away. So unless your deck is okay with having all of its monsters tributed on the opponent's turn, then you'd prefer to have Nibiru going second. Thankfully in Duel Links, it's not guaranteed whether or not we go first or second. A lot of people complain that whoever wins the coin toss can't decide if they go first or second, but really that very fact is the reason incredible board breaking cards aren't as heavily played. And those people probably either don't know that, or they are the people that just want to shit on everybody with board breaking cards. Since we can't guarantee that we go second, that means Nibiru isn't going to be as good. However, if we look at the TCG as an example, there are plenty of people that are willing to play Nibiru in the main deck, even if their deck would prefer to go first. This is because after all of your other forms of interaction are spent up, Nibiru can be used after all of it to invalidate all of the opponent's effort and give you another chance to follow up. And most decks have an inherent follow-up play these days anyway. Because of this, people might go first with a Nibiru in hand and make their board, use their interruptions on the opponent's turn. When the opponent is able to play through those interruptions, they can use the Nibiru as a last resort to give them a guaranteed shot at a follow-up play. This isn't even taking into account that there are some decks that are happy to tribute their own field. Like my Akashi ends on a Link 2 that doesn't really do anything. They'll happily tribute it to ruin the opponent's day, then use the Link 3 engrave to revive a synchro afterwards. Blue Eyes doesn't end on anything special either. It could ruin the opponent's field with Nibiru, then if the opponent can somehow play through the Nibiru, then you can tribute the Nibiru with Successor Soul to interrupt them even further. A deck like Perform Mage or Fluffle that can go first but prefers to go second could just pass turn if they went first and Nibiru the opponent just to keep themselves alive. Shadol would actually benefit from tributing whatever's on their board because it'll trigger their floating effects, and having this in hand just in case the opponent is able to deal with the Winder is not only going to make him rage, but it's also going to get a light monster into rotation to use for a construct summon. Buster Blader Confusion Summon is a quick effect using their grave, so they could nib the opponent first and then go into their fusion. Dark Magician can Nibiru before using navigation, or Nibiru before reviving with Eternal Soul. I could honestly go on for ages about how many decks would be fine with using Nibiru even if they went first. Basically what I'm trying to say is that trying to discredit Nibiru because it's only good going second isn't really true, because we are at a stage in the game now that people aren't going to be that upset about their board being broken, so doing it as a trade-off for preventing the opponent's combo from going off is going to feel worth it to them. Because of this card's presence in the game, decks are going to have an added layer of scrutiny when considered for meta level play. Not only do they need to have good matchups against the rest of the meta, not only do they need to have answers for all of the common problems, but they also need to be able to contend with Nibiru in some way. And there are a few different ways to go about that. The first way is by being able to set up a card that can negate Nibiru before it can activate. So sometime within the first 5 summons basically. Speedroid can summon Crystal Wing within the first 5 summons, meaning that they can keep their plays going safe from a Nibiru. Tech Genius can summon Herald within 5 summons depending on their hand, so they could negate Nibiru to protect the rest of their plays. Infernobles might be able to adjust their plays to be able to summon Immortal Phoenix Gearfried within the first 5 summons so they can negate a Nibiru. In general, a lot of decks might be altering their combos just so that they can set up a negate for Nibiru. The second way to beat Nibiru is to only summon 4 or less monsters during your own turn. Blue Eyes is a great example of this because at the very most they'll summon 4 monsters in a turn, but at minimum they'll summon 1 monster at a turn. Shadows can also summon summon less than 4 times in a turn in order to get that play off. Unchained can prioritize the plays that summon less monsters in order to play around Nibiru. Sacred Beasts can easily win without that many summons, so it shouldn't be a problem for them either. The last way to beat Nibiru is to have some way of playing through it, because maybe you don't have a way to prevent it from happening in the first place, but you could at least do something after it's done wiping the board so you could still set up a defense. Unchained with Life Twins, if they got Nibiru'd with a Life Twin package, then they can continue along with their Unchained package. Zombies, if they get Nibiru'd, can revive a whole bunch with Mizuki and keep it going. Mayakashi can use Yuki Musume to send Mad Mauler from deck to grave, so that if the opponent uses Nibiru, they can use Mad Mauler to reduce the level 11 token to a level 9 and revive itself. Then use the Mad Mauler and the token together to summon Gashadokuro, which will trigger Daki to come back, which will allow us to keep going with our Link climb as if nothing ever happened. Of course, in order to do this, you'd either need a second Gashadokuro in extra deck, or you'd need to not send it to grave with a skill. Yeah boy, the TCG prepared me to keep my Mayakashis pushing through this shit. You might think that with a bunch of decks being able to have a way to beat Nibiru, that means Nibiru isn't going to be played, and that possibility is definitely there. However, there might be a bit of cope in it. One of the most common responses to fear is to try to discredit that which you fear. We're going to try to avoid that. We're going to try to keep an open mind and see if Nibiru really is going to be a problem so that we can be prepared for it if it is. A bunch of decks can play through or around Nibiru in the TCG, however, it still gets played. That's because Nibiru by itself can be accounted for. However, Nibiru in conjunction with other interruptions is much more difficult to maneuver around. If because of this, Nibiru becomes a commonly played card at the very least in competitive Duel Links, let alone heavily played, that's going to force decks to either find a way to beat Nibiru within their own strategy or face the music and fall off of competitive viability. If Nibiru isn't commonly played, then things will continue as normal as they have been, but a time will come eventually where it will be commonly played as power creep happens and allows decks to benefit more from playing it. Konami decided that it wasn't good enough to just print a card that everybody was guaranteed to buy from a box anyway. They felt the need to paywall it by putting it in a selection box. Now free-to-play players are forced into a position where their gem investment is even more locked. They can only get decks they can afford with their gems. Those decks have to also be able to play against Nibiru, and those decks have to also not be the kind of deck that wants to play with Nibiru because they can't obtain it due to a paywall. And another thing, bro, what the hell is with all these box releases? Just let a box sit for 5 goddamn minutes before thinking about what box you're gonna drop next. Let us enjoy a format before you end it a week later, bruh. The next mini box leak doesn't say when it's coming, but the fact that it's leaked so damn soon after the last mini box is insane. Okay, so this doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of the video, but they also let us know that on July 26th we're gonna get 300 gems, should have gave us 500, 100 box chips, UR and SR Dream tickets, a Utopia playmat, and a prismatic UR ticket that will let us choose a prismatic Utopia, Shark Drake, Galaxy Eyes, Atlantis, Giant Grinder, Dyson Sphere, Star Cestus, Giant Hand, or Tachyon Dragon. I already got a prismatic Abyss Dweller and still some Roach, so completing the set of prismatic interruptive rank 4s with a prismatic Giant Hand is gonna be super clean. I'm legitimately happy for Zexal fans out there, though them getting a Utopia playmat is a little bit weird when the animated playmat they got is already cool as hell. And if it isn't animated, which it probably isn't, the non-animated playmats we've gotten for Utopia are gonna be hard to beat, but this low-res screenshot looks pretty nice, not gonna lie. More importantly though, on August 12th, 5Ds is also gonna be getting a prismatic UR ticket that lets you choose between Stardust Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend, Blackwing Dragon, Black Rose Dragon, Ancient Fairy Dragon, Power Tool Dragon, Infinity Doom Dragon, and TG Halberd Cannon. It is a little bit cringe that they included Infinity Doom Dragon in a premium ticket like this, because that card's available through regular ass prismatic ticket, but being able to get your favorite 5D synchro as a prismatic is awesome. I already have a prismatic Stardust Dragon though, so I think I'm just gonna get a Black Rose Dragon since it's my second favorite. But we are apparently getting a Stardust Dragon playmat at the same time. I feel like the timing of this announcement, not that long after I complained about a lack of a Yusei animated playmat in my last video, I feel like that's suspicious. That's weird. We don't know whether or not these playmats are going to be animated or not, but looking at the low-res screenshot of this playmat, this does look pretty damn clean, and I am looking forward to it. But you listen, Konami, and you listen good. I and the rest of the Yusei fans that play this game appreciate this gesture, but unless it's an animated playmat, we ain't gonna stop asking for justice for Yusei. But yeah guys, how you feeling about the arrival of Nibiru to the game? Me personally, I still have mixed feelings about it, but we will see how things unfold. But if you like the video, then slap a like now, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell to get notified next time we drop a video. Have yourselves a good one guys, and I've been Undead from Team 6K, signing out.
Hey, why they gotta hate on me? I done got me 250,000 views and they still saying they low key. They ain't wanna wanna come work with the kid, but I'm flexing with Zay on beats. How they ask for a spot at the gym, but they leave all the weight on me. I don't ask them to wait on me. They would ask where they gon' be with a song if they wanted the weatherman. I ain't ask them to pay no fees. She was homeless and needed a spot. I ain't ask her to pay no lease. I ain't ask her to say no please. I ain't ask her to make no cheese. Scream fake, but it ain't on me. Got clean, so it ain't no streets. Why green if it ain't no keeps? Brought cream, so it ain't no beef. My team say it ain't no chief. My demon, they hang on me. They seemingly ain't no peace. I seen him, he ain't no beast.